Um, the big, beautiful bill has recently passed the House. It passed the Senate, went back to the House, passed the House again, and went to Donald Trump's desk on July 4th. If anybody was watching, there was a July 4th party at the White House where he had signed into law the big, beautiful bill. We're going to talk about how beautiful it is and how beautiful it may not be. Okay, so the One Big Beautiful Bill Act, which was signed into law on July 4th, 2025, it is a comprehensive budget reconciliation bill addressing taxes, spending, and various policy priorities. And of these priorities, I'm going to talk about a few of them. There's let's see, one of them I think is a big, big win for the pro-life movement. In the Big Beautiful Bill, there is a section, and I'll read it. It says it prohibits Medicaid reimbursements to Planned Parenthood and other large abortion providers, those receiving over $800,000 in Medicaid funding in 2023 for 1 year, effectively targeting Planned Parenthood's federal funding. This is huge if you're in the pro life movement, which every Christian should be, unlike the Democratic Christians, typically the liberal Christians, typically you'll find those within the African American communities a lot of times. You'll find them even in the Hispanic communities a lot of times, where you'll find them in the progressive Christianity movements, which aren't really Christian anyway to begin with, but nonetheless, you typically will find pro they'll use the word women's rights as a way to mask their hiding of the policy of abortion. But nonetheless, Planned Parenthood has been federally defunded through the One Big Beautiful Bill. This provision, seen as a significant pro life victory, is estimated to risk, or we should say, um, it's a win in closing 200 clinics across 24 states, impacting over 1 million patients' access to reproductive health services. And so I think that's a huge win. But, Brother Matt, I mean, we as Christians, it doesn't give us, again, putting Christians, giving too much trust to the government to do all of the work for us. Yes, I think it's good, but we as believers, still need to be advocating for pro-life. Still need to be going and preaching at these abortion mills in a loving way to win the lost, to stop mothers from going and committing such atrocities. But yeah, so that was a big, big win that's in the Big Beautiful Bill. Brother Matt, did you have any thoughts on that, or did you want to cover anything else in the Big Beautiful Bill?
Well, I think that the big beautiful bill having been passed on July 4th and signed on July 4th with B-2 bombers over the skies in Washington D.C. Uh, at first, what really caught my attention and triggered me, highly triggered me actually, was the way of how Trump was communicating about not rather Elon, but about Rand and Thomas Massey and the other individuals that weren't for this $4.5 trillion deficit hike, raising of the ceiling in the particular bill. And I think that that's acceptable for him to have a high level of frustration with these individuals. But I feel like he really disrespected them, calling them grandstanders and then making actions in order to push them out of their House and Senate seats and primarying them in the upcoming year at the midterms. And that really rubbed me the wrong way. And I'm just trying to stay on my loyalties here, first and foremost to Christ. But thinking that the crisis behind a resurgence of morality and trying to actually fix our country, and I got a little bit derailed in that thinking here, and I sort of changed my thoughts a little bit. So although I'm still triggered and upset with how Trump chooses to communicate about our founding fathers of the libertarian community, which is for 20 years as I've been paying attention to politics, represented more integrity than any Republican ever had, while still carrying the label of a Republican. I feel that his dissing just sort of was a little bit self-grandizing, and that he should be wise enough to at least placate us or treat our elders who have been respecting the Constitution while he was flying around on jets himself with respect. But I've stopped and I've paused and I've just sort of, getting back onto the Trump train. As I indicated last week, I need to have a little meter over here where my faith in Trump is at, and I think today we're at like 80% Trump faith right now, hoping that he's going to be able to succeed and he has righteous intentions and this isn't a giant setup. But do I really want us to have our hands tied behind our back? We know that we had to introduce this bill in this way, as a spending bill, so that we wouldn't have to go to the 60-seat Senate requirement. Whereas with this threshold of renewing a previous spending bill measures, it didn't have to have the full 60-seat Senate vote. So I just started to reflect on it, and I'm sort of like, okay, and I made this post on Rand Paul's page, that could it be that let's give us this $4.5 trillion, doesn't mean we have to use it. And if we could still not have our hands tied behind the back as we try to make America great, we try to restore things, and still be fiscally conservative without having to be broke and not have the money that we need in order to work with ICE or work with other operations that the president is having to spend a lot of money on, perhaps there's still an opportunity for us at the end of the day here, at the end of this 4-year term, to say, hey, look, for the first time, we actually raised the debt ceiling to 4.5T, but we've only spent maybe 2.5 or so, and to save face. So yeah, the fact that the big beautiful bill has passed, I know that there's concerns from everybody, not just on the debt ceiling, but as you said, in terms of Planned Parenthood, all over the place. There's these little gotchas that have creeped into the bill. And from the beginning, I was very upset with the bill because the idea to get us all behind big and beautiful is not how I believe that the House and the Senate should work in the first place. I personally would like to see every individual action that a congressman and a senator is voting for be, grouped. Doesn't have to be every line item is its own particular bill. I get that. But the idea that we were going to get behind clumping all this together in one big monstrosity left an extremely poor taste in my mouth. And I'm really hoping that in the future we don't use this excuse that we need to have, we want to only have, 51 Senate votes required. In this case, we know that the vice president was actually the deciding vote in this instance. And I guess I'm just want to wait and see. I don't want this to become the standard because I think it is entirely maybe constitutional. However, I think it's unethical. And if we want to make America great again, we want to be able to hold our congressmen and our senators responsible for the bills that they vote on. And what they're always able to do with these ones, because it's jam-packed with 80 different things, like right now they're running ads against Thomas Massey in Kentucky saying that he voted against this and he voted against detention and he voted against that. No, he didn't vote against those things. He voted against this bill. This bill. And they're able to create an error or a commentary to say that you voted against something because it's jam-packed with all these little details and all these little riders inside of it. And I think it's inappropriate and it's disingenuous. And I feel it's actually these attack ads that are playing on television. I don't know if Trump's behind them, but it's lying. It's outright lying to the American people, and I don't support it.
Shout out to brother Brent Farley on the Jesus Save shirts. He says, you look great in a Jesus Save shirt. And it's not just me that would look great. You would too. Go to jesussaves.com and jesussavesigns.com and get your Jesus Save signs today. I mean, if we're going to talk about a simple message, a message of salvation, an easy way to go out and evangelize, to hold up a sign, to say Jesus saves, and it's really simple. They've got shirts, they've got wristbands, they've got car magnets. I got a car magnet on my car, my vehicle. I drive around everywhere I go with my magnet on, and you can too. Be sure to go to JesusSavesSigns.com and get your Jesus merch and gospel tracks. JesusSavesSigns.com.
And also,
And
check out JesusCoffee.com. Just kidding. Just joking.
well, you could go to Hebrews and get your coffee at Hebrews. We should open up. We should
That's
actually open
funny.
up a coffee shop.
Did you just come up with that, or you sourced that from somewhere?
No, I knew that there was a joke I've heard
That's
that talked
funny.
about it's biblical for men to make the coffee because there's a book called Hebrews. But you know what, Matt? You should make a coffee shop, Matt.
Hmm.
Biblical coffee shop says Hebrews.
I got a lot
Anyways,
going on, Alex. I'm in the middle of creating
I
the
know,
world.
I know. I didn't mean to give you.
Reinvent. This is my
I didn't mean to give you
foundation.
something else on your plate, man.
I am recreating the church right now. I'm not going to go into it, but I heard the other day a commentator saying that there's no new ideas. If you think that everything has been done, you're a fool. This man is full of fantastic, great ideas, which I pray are brought to me by the Lord Jesus Christ and not distractions by Satan.
Yeah. Anyways, so part of the big beautiful bill, though, as well, was we were talking about the AI aspect. If you guys maybe like I don't know, I think it was maybe like 3 or 4 shows ago where I talked about the AI being there was a section within there that was going to basically give all the AI control to the federal government. And within there was going to be a 10-year ban on the state level to regulate AI. In other words, prohibiting states from regulating the development of AI because they felt like there was just this need for AI to just do AI things, without any regulations, to advance this, AI race war that we are with China and really the rest of the world, for that matter. But I've got some good news because that was something I was against. I was like, no, we can't allow that. That needs to be. I did not support that, and I had talked about that. Well, it was actually came out that within the revision, see, it goes to the House, and they kind of debate it, this and that, and then they vote on it. Well, it got voted on, passed through the House into the Senate, and at the Senate, they're able to make amendments or change small little changes. They debate, um, they negotiate within the bill itself amongst the senators, and it actually the 10-year ban actually got removed. And so the big beautiful bill that actually got signed into law excludes a proposed 10-year ban on state level AI regulations, allowing states to maintain their authority to regulate artificial intelligence technologies. And so this definitely is a shift from the earlier drafts prioritizing state flexibility over federal preemption in AI governance. And so I think that's a huge thing that was able to, I guess, get retracted from the original AI, from the original AI section within the big beautiful bill. Um,
And that's where the states were
I
being
just
forced in order to be able to not comply, or wouldn't have any voice regarding AI actions other than on the federal level. Is that correct?
Yeah, basically they were saying, look, um, the state level, you cannot regulate the development of AI in your state. In other words, because there was thought, because there's so much energy that's required that they would have to, they might have to develop nuclear technology in certain states or whatever the case may be. It was also an energy side to this thing that they didn't want any deregulation or regulation from the state levels, any pushback from the state levels, and so nonetheless, uh, I'm all for. Man, I hate to even say this. I'm hesitant on AI. I use AI a little bit. I think if anybody doesn't use it, you are going to get, I guess, surpassed in some areas in technology. It's just like somebody, in 1990 that said, "Hey, if you don't use the internet, you're not gonna make it in the next 2 decades,
It's true.
3 decades." And so it's a lot like that.
You know what using
It's
AI
where we're
is?
at,
Using AI is
huh?
how to you the I saw
Yeah,
all
it's
these
like using
jobs
the
are.
internet. It's like using the internet on steroids, basically.
But the funny thing about AI really is not a sci-fi movie. It's about being able to control AI from its hallucinations. So what I was looking at is there's a bunch of these job posts that are out there now that say you have to have an AI skill set. And you would think it's like AI right now, as far as our implementations that we're aware of, or as much as like Grok or ChatGPT, these exclusive chatbots. I'm a
Right,
software developer. Okay, I've been developing software for
right.
20 years, and I have to write code myself and sit there in an IDE and code it out. But in the course of the last 3-4 years here, I started learning a new programming language called Go. And fortunately, I wasn't as studious enough as I needed to learn this new language and become skillful at it. And right upon that time frame, actually, was the rise of artificial intelligence in forms of the chatbot. And I can tell you now that in my programming life, I'd say 80% of my programming is done with artificial intelligence. But the trick is that it lies to you. Okay, so this is not a joke, right? You'll literally tell it, do this, and then it'll do something. It'll pretend to do it, not do it properly. So getting involved with AI is very often about learning its nuances and how to force AI to do what it is that you want in the first place. So yeah, and Elon over here mentioned that they're going to be using artificial intelligence inside of the IRS, putting that comment up on screen. I tell you, I had great expectations for Elon and Doge, and that meter has sort of went all the way down to zero at this point in time because they never made it over into the Pentagon, into the military industrial complex. We know most of the skeletons would be hiding. I saw that as an incredibly dubious sign of the future to come. The fact that the improvements that were made actually within the Treasury departments, is a little bit scary, to be honest with you, because artificial intelligence does absolutely have the ability to monitor and watch. When Edward Snowden talked about how we were being spied on by the PRISM Project, now going back 14, 15 years ago, the role that artificial intelligence is able to play in order to monitor each and every one of her actions with big data is absolutely frightening. And it's all about who's going to be have their hands on the reins. So I was really hoping on this presidency that and again, we're only, what are we in now? 7 months in. So I've not gone negative, but we do need transparency. We do need a lot of transparency in order to really offset all of these technological advantages that are coming today. And I hope the government deploys them appropriately and doesn't use them against the American people in that capacity.
Well, I wouldn't put it past them, to be honest with you. Obviously, I do think that AI eventually, I'm leaning towards AI being essentially part of the beast system in some way, shape, or form.
No
I
question
don't
at
have
this
it all
point.
put together. Yeah, I don't have it all put together, but I think that there could be some type of robot AI driven. Servant, mind, soul, body type of thing that could develop into the idol that was made in Revelation 13 by the second beast, that is given life. It is given life. It has thoughts. It speaks. It acts. Anyhow, maybe we'll put a link into that video that we did where I talked about that. But anyhow, I think that's a good thing that at least for now, there is statewide. The states will be able to regulate it as they see fit. I'll
Just
leave
as
it
a
at that.
side note
But
over
moving
here,
on,
Sojourner for
yeah,
Christ has said that Elon's poisoning an entire town in Memphis, Tennessee with his gigafactory for XAI. What is AI going to truly cost us, though it is being sold? And I'll just say that a good portion of actually the EV chargers that are popping up at gas stations all across the country, little do you know that they're actually also powered by gas or diesel generators. Because at this point in time, we don't have the electrical capacity. And that had been my presumption or my hypothesis as to why this AI provision was being put into the bill as I was playing devil's advocate, trying to have hope for why we would do something. Because something like this, because like I said, I like small, limited federal government. I want to have the states and the counties to have as much freedom as possible. I'm against overreaching federal mandates because I'd rather have every 50 state have to be infiltrated than just one federal institution, which is what's happened in 250 years of the United States. But there's a lot of changes that are going to be made here because of the power and the energy requirements that's required for artificial intelligence. And I just know a lot of small towns out there that are not going to want that have these heavy levels of pollution. And how they're going to go about doing so, I specialize sort of also in solar distribution, so creating solar energy distribution systems. I'm a big fan of solar, but I just know that solar is not going to do it. So that is a good point. And we do have to watch out for our environmental issues as the push for AI goes down, as well as the gun to our head to build these nuclear power plants that are going to be creeping up all over the nation, which again, I think was a reason why they tried to force that on us.
yeah. Thank you for your comment, Sojourner for Christ. Something that we're definitely going to continue to keep a watch on, especially AI. I think it's definitely important for us as Christians to be watchful for the development of AI as it could lead into biblical implications. Also, part of the big beautiful bill was there was Medicaid cuts. It reduces Medicaid funding by hundreds of billions of dollars, potentially removing 12 million people from the program, limiting access to essential care for low income individuals, including those with disabilities. This is Grok. Unfortunately, Grok is um,
Lying to
seems
us.
like it seems like Grok has some biases here, but nonetheless, this is what it said. Now the issue with this is what is being told here from Grok right now. What the bill actually is removing is it's removing illegal immigrants from receiving Medicaid. It's also going to remove individuals that are, as they're being called, able-bodied individuals. In other words, if you're not working and you're an able-bodied, in other words, you're able to work, but you're just choosing not to work, right? The ones that are lazy, right? What does the Bible say? Right? It says, "He who does not work will not eat." Right? That's what the Bible says, and that's what it's getting to. Actually, those that will not work, you're not going to get fed by Medicaid anymore, and so we'll see how that all pans out. Of course, you're hearing people on the Democratic side that are saying that, oh, grandma's not going to get Medicaid, and that's just not true. Okay, that's just not true. So
Well, they were also
we'll
saying
see
that.
how.
Well, they're also saying that part of the provision here is that illegal aliens are receiving Medicaid, which I wasn't aware of was even the case to begin with. But in the last couple of days, I started seeing posts that indeed that's not the case, that illegal aliens have not been receiving Medicaid. I couldn't understand from the get-go. That's why we really have to watch the internet, watch our own opinions, especially when news is evolving and moving so quickly. And We're not relying on Snopes to do our fact checking. We're relying on AI. Yeah, we really got to watch out here because the snowball effect really has the ability to push us people who comment on the news all the time, perhaps into relaying information that may not be accurate.
Yeah, I had seen a who's that guy that Verita who does the well, he doesn't do Project
James
Veritas anymore.
O'Keefe. James
Yeah, James
O'Keefe,
O'Keefe, right?
which is a
Yeah, there was
Christian.
yeah, he had done a sting
OMG.
on somebody that yeah,
Ray
OMG,
Comfort would not be
O'Keefe Media
happy.
Group. Well, he had done a sting on somebody that was giving out benefits, and he said that he would give it out to illegal immigrants because that's what he wanted to do. So
Well, I think it's about
anyhow,
skirting the law, though, rather than it actually being the standard. In terms of
well, of
selling Social
course, yeah,
Security
no,
numbers,
it's not. It
etc.
shouldn't be. It's not law that they should get it, of course. But I think that's what was happening, right? Maybe not everyone, but I think there was probably a good portion of people. But anyhow, nonetheless, there is going to be some more regulation on Medicaid, and I think that's probably going to be a better move. Also, tax reforms. The Trump tax cuts of his first administration essentially was going to run out at the end of the year. In other words, it had the Republicans, Trump administration had done nothing, then Americans were going to receive a big tax increase, and it wasn't going to be necessarily a tax increase as though they're purposely taxing you, but it would just had been that the tax cuts from the first administration would have expired. But nonetheless, those tax cuts have been signed into law again, which I don't know. Help me out, brother Matt. From what I'm reading, is that now it's almost codified. These tax cuts now, in other words, that they
Yes.
can no longer expire.
Oh,
I don't
actually,
know if you've
I
heard
don't
that.
know. I don't know. I haven't heard that. No, I don't know if that actually is the case. Um, we can look that up here in a moment.
Okay, yeah,
I just looked up the conversation regarding Medicaid. It says undocumented immigrants are generally not eligible for federal Medicaid benefits except in limited circumstances. Federal law, including the Personal Responsibility and Work Opportunity Reconciliation Act of 1996, restricts non-citizens' access for federally funded programs like Medicaid. However, emergency Medicaid. Undocumented immigrants can receive emergency Medicaid, which covers acute life-threatening conditions requiring immediate treatment, emergency room care, etc. So, which I think has always been the case because, I had mentioned that in the past I have had in ministry, we bump into people from all walks of life. And I don't discriminate or ask
sure,
for your citizenship card, when I'm praying for you or you've got some sort of problems
sure.
going on. And we find these people in our lives and they become our friends and our family. And I've actually had to take them to the hospital, in such cases, knowing that. That they're going to be taken care of because they don't have the right to refuse you in emergency situations, which I'm thankful for. So,
Yeah,
but yeah,
and
what was that
Sojourner
question
for
though?
Christ.
What
Yeah,
was the
well, let
last
me just
question that you
read this
asked?
real quick.
Yeah.
About the tax cuts that basically they have been
Tax cuts being permanent.
um, enshrined, basically that they no longer can be expired. Essentially, they become permanent. But Sojourner for Christ, just want to give a shout out to him for his comment. He said, I used to work at WIC, and we had children of illegal immigrants that were on Medicaid. The children do get those benefits.
And yes, the one big beautiful bill passed by Congress and signed into law makes the 2017 Trump Tax Cuts and Job Act provisions permanent, preventing their scheduled expiration at the end of 2025. So you are indeed
Thank
accurate.
you. Thank you. Yes. The big one that I think is, probably going to lead into our next segment as